Former Sylacauga Mayor Bruce Carr joins us this morning. And Mayor, good morning to you. Good to have you with us today. And
Thank you.
It's been a long time since 2004.
It has been a long time, and you know, I think it's time that we make a change here in Sylacauga, and as far as, you know, the mayor's office is concerned, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of getting out and meeting the people again and giving them my ideas about what I think we need to do here in Sylacauga.
In making the decision to run for the highest office in Sylacauga, the mayor's office in the August elections, what went into making that decision? Well,
I've had, you know, basically ever since I left office, you know, I've had people come to me, want me to run again, and I almost ran 4 years ago and decided at the time it just wasn't the time for me and our family, and I guess over the last 4 years I've just, you know, been thinking about it, and I just finally I obviously talked with my wife and my family about it, and we just decided that it was a good time to go after it, and because I'm real concerned about this town, and I grew up here. You know, I've been here all my life. I've never really wanted to live anywhere but Sylacauga, and I'm real concerned about where we're going, and I'm very discouraged about the route that we're taking, and you know, I think it's time to make a change.
You've grown your family in Sylacauga. Mm-hmm. You go to church here. You're a businessman in the banking industry in Sylacauga, a long-time broadcaster and owner of WFEB Radio after your father, of course. Mm-hmm. So you got a lot of ties to this town.
Well, I do, and like I said, I grew up here. I went to high school here. My wife is a lifelong resident of Sylacauga. She was actually born in Sylacauga Hospital before they changed the name. But, you know, we made a decision years ago when we got married. Matter of fact, coming up next week's 27 years. Mm-hmm. Happy anniversary to my wife early. But we made the decision when we got married that we were going to live in Sylacauga, and we wanted to raise our kids here. And we have two children. Brantley, who's 23, who's a teacher, and my daughter, Brooke, is a college student. And, yeah, but Jimmy Dale, I just think we need to make a change, and I hope that because we did grow up here, and there's not a lot about this city that I don't know, and there's places in this city that I've probably been that a lot of people don't even know exist. And, you know, I've been here, like I said, all my life, and I hope that, you know, that's the reason I ran to start with the first time, and I was obviously fortunate to win that election back in 2000, and I think it's time that we go back and revisit it again. Mm-hmm. You know, you mentioned church. My wife and Tracy and I and our kids are, you know, members of First Methodist Church here in Sylacauga, and I sing in the praise band. Both Tracy and I sing in the choir, the chancel choir, and our kids were involved in youth activities at our church. So our kids and myself and Tracy both have always been involved in this community, and we're going to keep it that way.
That brings me to the question. What about raising our kids in Sylacauga? I know that's a concern of yours, keeping them here once we get them raised, and what opportunities are available for them.
Well, that's true, and you know, back when I was growing up here, and you grew up here too, and you know, we always said, there's nothing for us to do, and you know, I think we need to get to a point to where I don't want our citizens to have to go out of town to be entertained. And that, you know, that really bothers me that, you know, we do. If we want to go to a movie or go bowling or I know that the sports complex has been a big issue too, but I would like to, and I'm going to work tirelessly when I get in office that we're going to try to make some of this stuff happen. And I'm not going to promise anything because you can't do that. But we're going to work tirelessly to make sure that we get some of these things that our citizens won't have to go out of town and to be entertained and keep your tax money in Sylacauga, because that's how the city's run. We're run that 45 to 50% of our income with the city comes from taxes and sales taxes. And when we go out of town to do things, we take sales taxes to other cities, Hoover, Birmingham, Gadsden, Anniston, Oxford, Montgomery. I mean, that's what happens. And a lot of people, don't think about it that way, but that's one thing. If we can keep our tax money here, that gives us more money as far as the city's concerned to be able to provide better services and things that the people say they want.
Bruce Carr, our guest this morning. Bruce, former mayor of Sylacauga from 2000 to 2004, and longtime businessman here in Sylacauga. I guess, and Bruce announcing his candidacy for the mayor's position in the August election, I guess the hottest topic that at least I hear is our streets in Sylacauga. Address that this morning.
No doubt. All you got to do is just ride down a street in Sylacauga somewhere, and you're going to be bumping along and maybe hit a hole here or there. And I don't like that as a citizen, and I know the citizens don't like that. And when I was the mayor from 2000 to 2004, our administration, we paved over 55 streets in Sylacauga, and we did all that without having to borrow any money. And we can do that again. And we need to do that again. There's several streets in this town that if we don't hurry up and do something with them, they're going to be in disrepair and we're not going to be able to fix them. And that's another thing that, our infrastructure, not only streets, but our infrastructure as a whole needs to be improved. And we all need to work together to make sure that happens. And that's one thing that I want to try to do too, is to get everybody on the same page. My mentality, we need to stop that. It needs to be we, because this is our town. And, this group saying this belongs to us, this group saying this, and we need to be we. And that's one thing that I'm going to work again to get everybody to the table, because the big picture is the better Sylacauga is, the better we all are. And my experience as mayor from 2000 to 2004, I learned a lot. I thought I knew a lot before I went in. I thought I knew a lot when I went in, and I did, because as you mentioned, being in the radio business all those years and covering city council meetings and going to work sessions and stuff like that, I knew a lot of what was going on. But until you actually get in there and see what's going on there, it's a little bit of a difference. But, that's one thing, like I said, now that I've been there, done that, and got the T-shirt, as they say, I understand how it works. And I want Sylacauga to be a better place as I get older, because I don't plan on going anywhere. And I think we all enjoy living in Sylacauga. We all love the small town atmosphere and all that, but I want people to have a reason to stay here and to want to stay here. I want my kids to have a place maybe one day that they can come and work. And I want my grandchildren, I don't have any yet, but I hope, and I think you do, and I know you want the best for your family and for your grandchildren, even great-grandchildren if you happen to have them down the road. I want the future of Sylacauga to see what we saw growing up in Sylacauga. I can remember, downtown Sylacauga years ago when I was in high school, every building downtown pretty much had a business in it somewhere. And now Jimmy Dale, you can ride up down Broadway in Norton. The other day I was riding through town and I went from 6th Street, which is the road that runs beside the stadium, to Fort Williams, down Fort Williams and back down Norton, and I counted 27 empty buildings. Those are the ones that I could count riding along without having a wreck, and that disturbs me because I don't remember Sylacauga like that.
If you go back to those years, you go back to when you were mayor of Sylacauga, and it was kind of ironic that the work session last night, there was talk about revisiting this 21 highway and getting it 4-lane from Sylacauga to Winterboro. That actually got started in your tenure.
Oh, that actually, you're right, it did. I think it was like the second or third month, we took office October. The fiscal year with the city starts October 1, so we were sworn in around October the 1st, somewhere right around in there. And I can remember going to, I think it was Winterboro, to look at all the maps that they had about what was going to happen with the 4-laning of 21. And I think that was either in January or February after I took office in October. So that would have been January, February 2001. So we're talking.
All this property was bought up?
It had already been bought. It had to be bought up first. And then it was cleared off and has been cleared off ever since. And nothing's been done with it. And I've been kind of surprised at that. But, sometimes the wheels of government don't go and move as fast as we want them to. And that even happens in Sylacauga. But, that's something that needs to be revisited, something that needs to happen, because you've got the whole right side of 21. Well, I think it's Dana Avenue right there. As you start at Dana and go down towards Fairmont Road, there's nothing there. There's one house, I think, in that whole little block right there on the outside or inside of 21. So that's something that's been vacant for 16 years, and something needs to be done about that.
I think all of us agree, including the current leadership in Sylacauga, that we've got these issues, and the holdup on a number of it is money. How can we fix this thing?
Like I said, the city operates 40 to 45, 50% of our income comes from sales taxes, and we've got to get more businesses in Sylacauga. The more businesses we have, the more taxes we can take in, and we need industry, Jimmy Dale, bad. In my opinion, that is one thing that when we were in office from 2000 to 2004, I believe we had something like a little over 1,000 jobs, and I'm talking good paying jobs that were opened up. People were hired and were working and making good wages, paying taxes, paying property taxes, and buying their goods and services here in Sylacauga. But unfortunately, a lot of those jobs are now gone. We've got to replace those jobs, and again, that's one thing as mayor that I'm gonna work like nobody's business. We got to go out and recruit. A lot of times it's not going to come to you. You got to come to it, and that's one thing that I want to do, and maybe even look at getting somebody to help us with as a city recruiter or something. I don't know what you would actually call it, but to where we've got somebody that can go out and talk to industry and say, hey, we want you to come to Sylacauga. We want you to come look at Sylacauga and see what we've got to offer. That's one thing, when I was in office before, that I always wanted to make sure that everything that the city had looked the best it could look. And I explained to our department heads that you never know who's coming to Sylacauga for whatever. We could host a big football game at Legion Stadium on a Friday night, and it could be, it doesn't really matter who it is, but somebody comes in to watch their son play or their grandson play, or we've got a grandfather coming in to watch a Sylacauga player. And if they look around and say, hey, man, these people, they take care of their stuff around here. We might need to, and you don't know who those people are, but we might need to open up a place here. And that's one thing. It's little bitty things too, Jimmy Dale. It's keeping the grass cut, keeping the shrubbery cut. I mean, it's little bitty things like that.
Sylacauga the beautiful.
Yeah, and we need to get back to that. It's not that we're not beautiful, because we are.
But there are some eyesores.
But there are some things that could be done better. And again, Jimmy Dale, it's like I said, it's got to become a we mentality instead of a I, me, my mentality, because we all are going to benefit by working together. Working against one another, we're just going to keep spinning our wheels, and I don't want to see that. I'm not used to that in Sylacauga. I want to get the pride back in Sylacauga. Like I said, when I was growing up here, when you were growing up here, I mean, it was, man, you talking about people love Sylacauga. People love talking about Sylacauga. We had a different name, and that set us apart too, but we were all proud to talk about Sylacauga. I can remember growing up when my father was here. My father grew up in Gadsden, Atala. That's where he was from. And when he had the opportunity to come to Sylacauga and work at radio station WFEB, and then eventually buy the radio station, dadgummit, this was his home. And he introduced himself as, hi, I'm George Carr from Sylacauga, Alabama. And I can remember that like it was yesterday, because he was proud to be from Sylacauga. And I want our citizens now to have that same pride. And I'm going to work to see that we get back to that, because we've got a lot to offer around this town. And I think we can even have more to offer if we all work together.
Obviously, your decision to run for the mayor's office in August wasn't on a whim.
No.
You thought it out, and you know the qualifying is not until July,
right.
So you didn't have to announce now. But we've talked several times, and there's a lot of frustration in our community about those wheels that you talk about turning so slowly. But the people are saying, hey, we know they are, but we got to fix this somehow.
I agree, and that's one thing again that hopefully once we get in office that we can to get those wheels turning a little bit faster and make things happen. And because again, Jimmy Dale, I'm real concerned about this city, and that's the reason I decided to run. That's the reason I've been talking to my wife for months about this. This wasn't just and I had to get basically her okay. People say, "Oh, you're not telling the truth." I said, "Believe me, I'm telling the truth, because if she would have said flat out no, guess what? I wouldn't be here this morning talking about this." But I'm real concerned about this town, and I it's to the point to where if we don't do something, I'm afraid we're going to lose it. And if we keep spinning our wheels, like you said, it's going to get to the point where we can't get it back. And that really bothers me, because that's not Sylacauga. That's not what I know. That's not what I remember as a kid growing up in Sylacauga and a young person growing up in Sylacauga. And I mean, I hope that the people will get behind us and will get to the point to where we can get things happening again and make things happen for the citizens of Sylacauga, because we're at a crossroads, in my opinion. And that's another reason I decided to run was, we've either got to go one way or the other. And the other way, I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody wants to go the other way. And we need to go down the path where we're going to get our city back. We're going to get it vibrant again. We're going to see our city flourish, because that's what I know. That's all I know. And I don't want us to go down the other road. I want us to go down the straight and narrow and get this thing back and work together to put a better city together. And and make it to where, again, people are proud to be from Sylacauga, and we've got businesses that are opening up, and I don't remember how many businesses we had open in Sylacauga while I was the mayor, but I know I was at a ribbon cutting about 2 or 3 times a week, which, I mean, that means that things are happening, and and I was always proud to be there, and I tried to be at every one I could. Sometimes things just didn't work out, and I missed very few. But when you're opening up 2 or 3 businesses a week, that just means more tax money, more things that we can do to make Sylacauga a better place.
Bruce Carr announcing his candidacy for the mayorship of the city of Sylacauga in the August elections. Bruce, appreciate you coming by this morning, and we'll be talking again soon, and good luck in the campaign.
Well, I appreciate it again. I want to put my experience as a former mayor back to work again, Jimmy Dale, for the people of Sylacauga. I truly love this city. Again, I don't want to be anywhere else. This is where I want to be, and this is where I want to stay. And I hope people in August, on August 23rd is the actual day of the election, and believe it or not, it's only like 2.5 months away, which is scary, but I hope everybody will get behind us and will help us move Sylacauga forward.
All right. Bruce Carr, our guest this morning here on Daybreak. Got more coming up right after this.